Hello, this is Jim Szymanski, Communications Director for the Washington Retail Association. And we have a guest today, Representative Drew MacEwen, who represents the 35th District in Washington State. He also serves, among many duties, on the Appropriations Committee. And he's the prime sponsor of a very important bill to retailers, House Bill 1559, which would provide a sales tax holiday for shoppers in August of each year. Representative, thanks for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us, outline basically how 1559 would work if it were approved?
Right, so the second weekend in August, the Friday through a Sunday, would be a sales tax holiday for back-to-school supplies and clothing. So we would not be levying the state sales tax on those items. I think this is important especially for younger families that are, trying to get through and make ends meet. The school shopping lists get longer and longer. Obviously, you got to clothe your kids. So to provide some relief to that, I think is an important part for our working families, and certainly would help our retail industry as well.
Okay, now I understand it really wouldn't be the way it's written. It wouldn't be permanent. It's kind of like a trial,
right,
with an expiration date on it. What is that term?
Yep, it would be in existence as the bill is written right now till July of 2030. And the reason we do that, when we put a expiration date on things like this, it removes them from having to go through a continuous review study each year. And so to avoid that, we put on an expiration date that we can always adjust as the legislature deems appropriate. But this lessens how much review we have to go through on a regular basis.
Now, you kind of made reference to this before, but I guess you get a chance to decide what topics you want to sponsor as a prime. What did it boil down to for you to decide to advance this bill forward this year?
Right. Well, it's been tried before, and so sometimes it takes a few efforts to get a bill through the legislature. But you talk with working families, and the added costs, the added burdens that we are always putting on through more fees, more taxes, and again, especially young families, and this is a rising cost. Always having to put your kids back to school, as we all have to do. But hearing from those families that, boy, if we can get some relief somewhere, it would sure help. And out of that, and looking that we've done this bill before, I thought it made perfect sense to give this another shot, and I hope, we've got some bipartisan sponsorship on it, so I hope we can get some traction on this and get this done.
Now, we've learned in our research 17 other states have tried this. Have you gotten any feedback either from your colleagues or from any research that you've done about how this has worked elsewhere?
From what I've heard, and it's a little anecdotal, but from what I've heard, that it's been a success. It's gone well. Has not really affected state budgets in a negative way, and I think you can even make the argument that it might help because it spurs more spending, and it certainly helps families. So, in the 17 states where it exists, I think that from everything that I've heard and that's been indicated, it's been a success. And you look at our border state to the south, Oregon, they don't have a sales tax to begin with, so this would actually hopefully capture some more retail dollars within our own state along our border with Oregon.
Okay, what about your colleagues? Have you talked about this bill with your colleagues? How do they feel about it in general?
Oh, they're positive, and people look forward to hopefully we can get this to a floor vote and get this passed. I'm not really aware of any opposition to it within the chambers here, but things always happen behind the scenes that you're not aware of, so we can't take anything for granted, and we'll keep pushing it, and it'll certainly be a part of a larger budget discussion. But when you look at our state revenue, and we have record revenue in this state, we can afford to do this. This is gonna be a blip on the radar for the state of Washington, but yet I think it'll have a big impact for our young working families.
Well, thank you, Representative, for making us familiar with this bill. We wish you well on it because it means a lot to us, as you know, and thanks very much for sponsoring it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.